Better. I want to start with a story today about a good friend of mine, old coach, but I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, just to use your imagination for a moment as I share this story. As you're listening to my voice, whether you are maybe driving somewhere, you might be in your office, you might be outside, wherever you are, as you hear my voice, just uh, come along in this journey and use your imagination. I'm going to invite you to put yourself in these people's shoes and see how you would respond to this situation. So you're 84 years old, you are passing away. You know it, your family knows it. You're in an assisted living place. Everybody there knows it. And who I'm talking about specifically is Myron Wagner. Many of you probably know that name. He was my former freshman football coach, and he was one of those hard nosed, but you just loved him kind of guys, right? Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I heard, Berg, you took the snap too slow. Take a lap. Berg, you're too slow. Take a lap. Berg, I mean, it was just all the time. So it was one of those situations where you just are like, you know, like, coach, come on, man. No, take a lap. And he had you running all the time. But he made you better. So it was one of those guys during the season you couldn't stand, but then you look back on the year and you're like, okay, this man made me a better football player, a better person for getting in there and grinding. So he had a great life, had a lot of young men that really enjoyed what he did for them. And so he's getting up there in years. He's in an assisted living situation. His wife is with him as well. They're both in the same place, not necessarily in the same room, but they're in the same assisted living location. And look, the point of the story, I don't want to give out names of things. It's not about that. I just want you to understand the principles and the policies that are taking place right now within our nation. And then we sit back and wonder, why are we so divided? Why do things seem to be so divisive? Where is the love and affection that we know can actually make an impact? We said many times in the show, love never fails. Never, 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 never. So put yourself in these shoes. You've been married now for over 50 years. I can't even fathom that. So if there's anybody out there listening and you've been married for 50 plus years, I just want to say thank you and congratulations. So even if you haven't, just imagine you've been with somebody for over 50 years. I mean, you've shared some incredible, incredible memories with this person. You're both up there in age. You've lived a good life. You look back and think, hey, I'm pretty content. I'm pretty happy. You're living in the same assisted living building. You know that your husband is on his final days. Of course, after 50 some years, that person just becomes you. I can attest to this with my grandma and grandpa. My granddad had moved into assisted living. My grandma was living by herself for a while. And she's like, Chris, I got to tell you, there's days I think I hear Graham's voice. I know he's not here, but we've been together for so long. It's like I can just hear his voice saying, Celia, where are you? So you have that sort of just deep, deep love and connection for this person you've been with so long. And on the final days of your husband, you're not feeling too great. You don't really think much of it. You're older too, maybe a little cough here and there, whatever. But, you're in assisted living, so they want to check you out. They come in, they do the test, the one and only test, and you come back positive. But your husband's dying. He's in his final moments, 50 plus years. There's really nothing else that you can do. So as a spouse of 50 plus years, what's the only thing that you want to do? The only thing you want to do is go be by your husband, by your spouse's side, so you can be with them when they take that final breath. You want them to have some peace, to look into your eyes and say, hey, everything's going to be okay. I'll see you on the other side. It's okay if you need to go home. Again, I'm not calling out places. This is a policy. This person, very elder, comes back positive with COVID. Because of a positive COVID test, this wife is told, sorry, you can't go be with your husband of 50 plus years and be by his side. They restricted access of a 50 plus year spouse to go be with her husband, who she knew was going to pass anyways, They knew he was going to pass anyways, and she was not able to look into his eyes and be with him for his final breath, even though she's in the exact same assisted living place where he is. I just think that is, and again, I'm not blaming the place. I don't know exactly where the policy came from, but let's have some compassion. She was told, again, this is based on what I'm hearing from hearsay, but look, we don't want to have you by his side for protective purposes. Protection from what? Protection. He's going home. Protection from what? I need to be with this person. Now, I don't know what happened. Otherwise, obviously, I think many of us would probably be very upset and do whatever we needed to do to go make that happen. So as if that story isn't sad enough, the person I was talking with earlier today said, yeah, Chris, so I was sharing the story with somebody. They're in the healthcare industry, and they go, man, I've heard that story 50 plus times over the last 2 years. I said, excuse me? He goes, yeah. He goes, this person has heard this story 50 plus times in the past 2 years, where there's loved ones sit in another room, they're on their final breath, and because somebody else has got COVID or they got COVID, they were unable to be with their loved ones as they're getting ready to go home. Really? Is that where we're at these days? And if so, who made up that policy? Who in their right mind was like, oh, I got a good idea. We know this person is going to be taking their last breath. They've been married to this person for 50 plus years, and let's not allow their spouse, the person that they've loved for over 50 years, be by their side as they pass over and go home. Who thought that's a good idea? And then we wonder why there's no compassion in our nation right now. We wonder why everybody is so brittle. We wonder why there's mental health issues. We've talked about this many times before. When you think about the worst of the worst humans that get thrown in the clink, and then they get in the clink, and then they do even worse things while they're in the clink, what do we do to them? We put them in solitary confinement. So think about that for a moment. You're going to take the bad people on the planet that are continuing to do bad things even once they're incarcerated, and our idea to make things worse for them, hoping they're going to change their patterns, change their behavior, is we throw them into solitary, and we're doing this for God-fearing, America-loving Americans. I just don't understand it. So if anybody's got any ideas or suggestions of, hey, Chris, this policy came from this person and this is why they did it, please help me understand, because it makes absolutely zero sense to me why in the world we would do that to any human being on the planet.